me and you talk about identity all the time and how important it is. The Brewers have done some things that are unprecedented. They're 15-1 in August. They've been playing incredible baseball for a long stretch of time, whether it's Pat's pancakes that he pulls out of his pocket and eats it. It's just mind blowing. But why we're bringing this up is for all the fans to understand this is a small market team, it's a team that's in our division, and it's something that we can emulate. I really believe it's a brand of baseball that Donnie is kind of showing at times with glimpses because it is very hard. To your point, there's a small runway for some of these guys to get opportunities, so they're not going to take the risk that they maybe would take that the Brewers are taking. Where you're going to see Sam Frelick just run wild because he knows he's on the team. You know, moving forward, even if he struggles for a month, he's probably on the team. A lot of our guys are fighting to see if they're going to be a part of 2026. KY, do you see the same thing I do with the Brewers? Hey, this is a team that we could really emulate. Really strong bullpen, some top tier starters at the very front, and a lot of cockroaches throughout their lineup with power, just kind of inserted here and there. But I mean, they're doing a lot of this right now without their two boppers, right? In Churio and in Hoskins. And Yelich has been dominating. And I just think about Yelich is our Brian Reynolds and Yelich, maybe the same. Maybe Cruz is the Yelich that I'm talking about. But we have an opportunity to be just like this team. They're 23rd in payroll. And that's
Yes.
not too far
Yes.
ahead of us, right? I think we're
Right.
25th or 26th. So we're right there. What's it going to take? And is it all about identity? And that starts at the very beginning of the season because it seems like Pat Murphy is a gift when it comes
Oh
to
man, he's
helping
that's
figure
the
that out,
case.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
So
I
take
mean,
it away.
I
Wherever you
mean,
want to
it's
go. I
yeah.
get blown away
I
with this
think,
one.
yeah, it definitely is. I mean, obviously, I got to call the game in Milwaukee when they were on that hot streak, and I'm a big Pat Murphy fan anyway, just
Me too.
because I know the man, and being at Arizona State even back then, just getting a chance to know who he was, how he manages, how he coaches. He coaches men, so very similar in that
Amen.
sense. So we have Donnie Kelly, who believes in that same concept. I think the difference is and I know I've talked to a couple of those guys and a couple of the coaches over there, Jason Lane and Ricky Weeks, and I know a couple of those guys. Well, one of the things that they both shared is just the freedom that they have. When the game starts, they have freedom, and I think it's not to get away from analytics or anything like that, but they understand that a big part of it is players drive this whole thing. At the end of the day, players drive it. Their work ethic, their effort level, all those things are driven by the players. And analytics has a place in baseball, but it's as a support system. That's been my biggest takeaway with it. So often we get so bogged down with analytics that it becomes a leader of something, and it's never a leader.
Mhm.
It's always a support system, and it's that's why I always credit when it comes to baseball, we're as players we understand, and coaches we understand how hard this game is. And so we're always welcoming other things into the game because we know how hard the game is. And that's the gift. It's the gift. It's the inclusion of it. So that's why when I make the comment, analytics is there as a support system. It's there to help support. But I don't believe it's there to lead. And I think that Brewers do a good job when that game starts, as much numbers and much, all the measurements and all the stuff comes. These guys understand they go out and let the game to play with freedom. They make the decisions based off of sometimes a gut. Sometimes they make it off of other things, but the players are dictating as that game goes on, one pitch at a time. And that's that's a blueprint for a lot of us to learn if we want to get over the hump. I think we're all can fall to our strengths, So if I are the old school concept and you just think about old school, you're going to get left behind because the game's
No doubt.
changing constantly. And if you're an analytics guy and everything's about numbers and measurements or whatever your strength is, movements or whatever, you're going to get left behind. It's the inclusion of the game that what makes a better product for the fan base and really sustainability. And so I think that's probably the one thing, the big takeaway when you watch the Brewers play. They, like you said, they beat you with speed. They beat you with defense. They beat you with pitching. They beat you with power. I mean, they have a hitter's ballpark. So they have all those guys, they can beat you in a lot of different ways. And it's really fun to watch that brand of baseball, if you will, regardless if you're a fan of the opposing team or if you're obviously a Brewers fan. I mean, they definitely love it. So I think it is a model that again we can look at, and you look at some of the personnel that we've had. It goes back to you know, are we able to give the guys a decent look so we can see them develop at the level and know what they're going to be moving forward? We have players like that. Do we need to retain other players, whether it be through transactions, trades, free agency? Yeah, possibly to fill the void. But the one thing that we have that the Brewers don't have, I believe, is man that pitching. So it kind of helps you say, this is we go straight for our offense in our lineup, in our configuration of our offensive lineup. That gives you kind of the idea of what that next level should look like if you're trying to compete within your division.
You used a word that I love when you bring it up, and I love when it's used on a baseball field is freedom, because you know it's completely different when you're playing with freedom, when you're coaching with freedom, and I do feel like that's a huge separator, and I think we're going to see more of that moving forward.